What's happening, troops? Welcome back to another video here on the SharpDiv YouTube channel, and in this video today we preview Rangers versus Ross County at Ibrox Stadium. Thank God we are back at Ibrox because I've been missing the home games big time. My only issue is I wish we were there. I wish we were there, troops, but maybe, in the next decade or so we'll get back to the football. Before we do continue, if you could help the channel out by subscribing, that would be much appreciated. Right, into the football. Much like the Motherwell game, Ross County are off the back of their manager being given the sack. Well, obviously Robinson resigned, but Kettlewell was punted out the door. That was about 6 games ago that Kettlewell was sacked and relieved of his duties at Ross County, and it was John Hughes that came in to replace him. So far he's picked up some decent results, but the biggest thing that I've took away from his appointment is the enthusiasm for the game that I think we've all seen in the interviews and interviews gone by. But I think the biggest thing that I've took away from his appointment is that everybody in their granny is saying that he is a top coach and he likes his teams to actually go out there, play football the right way and express themselves. And that's even something Stephen Gerrard said today in the press conference. After retiring, Hughes has had quite a lot of manager jobs, but none has been more successful than his time at Inverness Caley Thistle, especially when he led them to the first Scottish Cup final, beating Falkirk 2-1 in the final and slapping Celtic in the semi-final. In the same season, he led Inverness to the highest finish ever in the Scottish Premiership of 3rd, and subsequently was given Manager of the Year. So on paper, it looks like a really good appointment for Ross County. Since he's came in, it's been a wee bit of a mixed bag in terms of the results. We'll run through them right now. His first game in charge was an away loss 2-0 to Celtic. Then it was followed by a home loss 2-0 to St Mirren, an away win 2-0 against Hibs, which was a turning of the guard. It was a change in the atmosphere up at Ross County for sure. They go away to Easter Road, one of the best teams in the league, and they scalp them. It was followed on by a home draw 1-1 with St Johnstone, an away loss to informed Livy 3-1, and in their most recent game 4-1 versus Aberdeen. Some would say so far they've been the giant killers. Don't forget, under Kettlewell, they papped Celtic out of the cup as well. So they like a result against the big guns. I'm hoping that does not continue at Ibrox tomorrow. Fun fact though, Ross County have never beaten Rangers in the league. In the last 5 games versus Ross County, it's been 5 wins for Rangers. The most recent 2-0 this season at Ibrox, followed by 4-0 scoreline, 2-1, 2-1 and 3-1. So it's been a good team to play, but I wouldn't let those results cloud our vision going into this one. John Hughes has certainly revoked a reaction out of these players, and a lot of them are playing a hell of a lot better now. Not to mention, they've still got that new manager bounce, so when they come to Ibrox, they'll be pretty confident. They'll see it as a free hit, as most teams do. I think they will come out and they'll try and express themselves, but still you would think Rangers on their best day will still be a momentous challenge to overcome for Ross County. Going into last week, I described our form as impeccable. It was 15 wins out of 15. But unfortunately that has now came to an end with a 1-1 draw to Motherwell, and a performance in the first 45 minutes that had us all scratching our heads, to be quite frank. However, probably the biggest thing to take away from the game is that we're still undefeated, and in the second half we came back, we played a lot better, and we were unfortunate probably not to get the win, but in the balance of play, maybe a 1-1 draw would suffice. But it was a stark reminder that you need to be at it for 90 minutes. You can't just try and show up in the second half and expect things to fall to you and expect things to go your way, especially with the stat that I said in a few videos ago. In 90% of Scottish Premiership games, the team that goes ahead will not lose the game. And that stat came back to bite Rangers in the arse last week as well. So you need to be at it 100% for the first minute to the last in this league, because even teams that are languishing at the bottom of the table can show up. To use an old cliche, and I mean no disrespect by saying it, this is a cup final for most of these teams when they play a team like Rangers. In fact, all of these teams, it's a cup final. They're able to raise their game 10%, 20%, 30%. And let's be honest, every one of us, if we were pro footballers, would do the exact same thing. Because Rangers is a standard. Rangers is where you want to be. Rangers is the place to be if you want to further your career and your bank account, by the way. You want to be training at the Rangers training centre for the very reasons. Don't get me wrong, footballers have got very comfortable wages, even at the lower teams, but when you contextualise it, and you put it up against the Rangers team, they're going out against players that are probably earning in upwards of 5 times their money to 10 times their money per week. And in any profession, that's a big motivation for anyone. And I think it's a factor that gets overlooked in these games. You're up against somebody and you want to show everybody else you're better than them. So you up your game and you try to get to the position that they're in. Which is why it takes a special kind of player to play for Rangers. You're up against that every single game without a doubt. And if you can't handle it, you won't last. And Rangers certainly weren't at it for the first 45 minutes last week. So that's an area that I'll be looking at, and I'm sure we'll all agree we'll be looking at and improving from this game. You want to come out flying, crosses in the box, the tempo needs to be high. And you need to get after Ross County right for the bat. So how do both teams match up, and how will they match up in this game? Ross County last week versus Aberdeen played a 4-3-3. They went like for like. They went 3 against 3 because I think Aberdeen played a 3 at the back, which they've been doing for a lot of this season. They went after them and they absolutely demolished them. The starting lineup for Ross County last week, it was Laidlaw, Naismith, Morris, Lakoviti, Randall, Payton, Viggers, Larkin, Charles Cook, Hilton and Shaw. Last week I had a wee hunch that Motherwell would revert back to the 5-3-2 which they played against Rangers in the previous 2 encounters, but that didn't happen. I also thought to myself, a 4-3-3, why not just go after it? It's a free hit at the end of the day, you're at the bottom of the table. You know, and Hughes might have looked at that and how well it worked, and he might think to himself, why no, let's just go for it, let's just go 4-3-3. Ollie Shaw's in form, different players are in form, we've just battered Aberdeen, why no? But I've also seen that in these first 6 games, 2 away games to Hibs and to Celtic, they played a 4-5-1, probably a 4-3-3 in attack, but transitioning into a 4-5-1 when defending. One notable absence for Ross County last week was that their talisman, Big Ross Stewart, was out injured. But of course, Ollie Shaw bagged himself a double, so he'll be firing, and I'm sure if Stewart isn't back, he'll be leading the line, they'll be confident. Another man who was kept on the bench last week was Stephen Kelly, who's obviously on loan from Rangers and is having a good impact at Ross County this season, which is great to see for us. So he was on the bench last week, I think, with Hughes maybe having an eye on him not being able to play for his parent club. And of course he'll be a blow for them because he's a good player, you know, for strength and depth, even if just coming off the bench. So that's a positive for us as well. Last week the main man in the middle was Vigers, and at the side of him is Larkin and Payton. Perhaps in this game, Payton will be pushed further out wide if they go with the 4-5-1 formation, and Draper will be promoted from the bench. They might go 3 in the middle if they do that, and try and just stifle us in there and try and get us on the break as well. So how will Rangers line up? I think we all know. It'll be the 4-3-3. Or so you would think. You know, Stevie G might fling a wee spanner in the works, but so far this season it's 4-3-3 religiously, so that's what we would expect to see in this game. Last week Stephen Gerrard spoke on Ryan Jack, said he would make a late decision on whether he'd be available for the Motherwell game. Now in this press conference he has said he's had a full week under his belt, but his language would lead me to think he might be on the bench. But he's a player that if he's fit enough, I'd actually like to see him come straight in for Glenn Kamara in this game. Let me just say, if I had to pick anybody to come out of the 3 in the midfield, I would go for Rebo. But just for the balance of the midfield, you would probably lean more towards Glenn Kamara. And if it wasn't such an important game in the bounce back from last week, maybe even Stephen Davis, but you just cannot take out your top midfielder, I don't think, in this game. But I don't know, we'll just wait and see. Another change that I think might happen is Hollander to come back in for Balogun. Balogun's been brilliant for us all season, but last week he let his standards drop a wee bit. I think he could have defended the front post a bit better, and this could be seen as a perfect game to get Hollander some minutes and get him around the team again. If Balogun is to be the starting first choice partner to Goldson, then I have thought this season when he's been rested for a couple of games and been brought back in, he's been immense, so he might need a wee break for the team as well. The other two is Hadji and Kent. Poor for the last game. Will one of them come out? Hadji's just not been good in the last 2 games. Ryan Kent looked absolutely shattered last week. And Bid Cedric came on and he was brilliant, changed the game, got the goal. And I'd like to see him maybe given his chance versus County. What are your thoughts on the team selection? Let me know down below. Let's move on to the key men for both teams. I'm going to go with Ollie Shaw for Ross County. Last week he got a brace. And if they do go with the 4-5-1, it'll be very important for him to hold the ball up to try and get Ross County up the pitch, because you would expect Rangers to get after Ross County, to be bombarding the box, etc, doing everything that they've done so far this season. And the big man up front needs to be holding the ball up. And if he's able to do that and get them up the park, it could be a big game for him. Not to mention that, judging off his performance last week, he knows where the back of the net is. So if they are to get anything out of this game, you would expect they would need to score, because you would expect Rangers to score. And the key man for Rangers, I'm going to go with whoever's in the middle, partnering Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis might come out of the team, so I might have to just go with whoever's in the middle. Be it Glenn Kamara, be it Ryan Jack. But whoever it is needs to be quicker, because last week, although Stephen Davis was playing well, I thought Glenn Kamara was just a wee bit too slow, and Aribo, for me, is probably better further up the park, where he just needs to forget about all defensive stuff. So whoever's in there needs to be faster on the ball, needs to be moving it quicker, and I expect that to happen for sure. Getting into some predictions now, and let me know what yours are down below. I'm going 2-0 Rangers. I would like to see us come flying out the blocks, get plenty of crosses, plenty of shots, peppering the goal constantly, and hopefully win the game. Obviously you would like more than 2-0, but I'm getting back to the tried and trusted result that's done us wonders so far this season. 2-0 for me. What do you think? And that is going to do us for this video. If you have enjoyed it, then make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Down in the description is all my links if you want to catch up with me on any other socials. But that is us for this video. Thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this. If you've made it all the way to the end, that's absolutely class. But that's going to do us for this. Stay positive. I've been SharpDiv, you've been yourself, and I'm out.